Hi, how you doing? So today I'll talk about two blockers that stop people from applying to grad school and how to overcome them. My name is Promise. I've been through this process of securing a fully funded offer before, so trust me when I say I can help you with this. The first one is time. Does that sound familiar to you? I don't have the time to apply to grad school. I don't have, I work in 9 to 5, and then before I know what's happening during the weekends, I'm just trying to catch just one deep breath, and next thing, boom, it's Monday. Or the second one, which is that I don't have any money for grad school. It's just so expensive. Trust me when I say I resonate with both of them. So let me tell you about how I navigated the time constraints I had when I was applying to grad school. So first, I was working a 9 to 5 job. I stayed on the mainland and my company was on the island. If you stay in Lagos, you know that that's a recipe for stress, because even just finding your way to the island, even if your job starts at 8, even if your job starts at 8, you need to find a way to leave your house maybe at 5:30 to make it to the office by 8. And then, when I say 5:30, I meant 5:30 a.m. And then, when you close at maybe 5, which many companies close at, right? Boom, you might spend another 3 hours or 4, depending on the time, in traffic before getting home. So you get home by 10. And when you get home by 10 or 9, you are already so exhausted, right? There's no time for you to actually sit and say, oh, you know what? I have this grad school dream I need to chase. There's no time. You're just too tired. You want to eat. You want to even just catch some little time with your family or maybe friends, depending on whether or not you stay with people. And then before you know what's happening, another 5:30, is the next day. So here's how I navigated that. One, I made a video about 2 days ago on 5 steps to get into grad school. You need to go watch that video, because that video will at least give you a structure you can start with. So just scroll in my reels and you will see that video. So when I saw that I had this time constraint, let me tell you what I did. I knew that I needed to find a way to make all the time I spent in traffic useful, right? So that's about 5 hours per day in traffic. I can't just be pressing my phone all through. I probably would press my phone, but not all through, right? So I knew that I had to utilize the 5 hours I spent in traffic and just make it profitable or productive somehow. So the first thing I did was that you need to make a list of all the things you have to do. So for example, one of the things I was doing then was that I was preparing for IELTS. This is an English standardized test. Note that you might or might not need this depending on the school you are applying to, because at times a letter from your school stating that you actually studied or did your undergrad in English can give you a waiver for IELTS in some universities. So it's not a strong requirement, but then it was a requirement for one of the schools I cared about, so I had to do it. And one of the things I did then was that I found someone that scored a high score. So another tip, if you're preparing for IELTS and GRE, make sure that you are using the structure designed by someone that had a high score. If not, I'm not going to say anything about that. But basically, I was using a structure that I learned from one of my friends. She had a 7.5 or an 8.8 over 9. So there was some reading component, writing component, listening component. What I did then was that I made sure that so there was a YouTube series for me to go through, right? So I made sure that while I was on the bus at that 6 a.m, or maybe a train, depending on where you stay, but in my case it was a bus, I was watching those videos. I was watching them. I knew that also data could be another constraint, but that would be a topic for another day. But I knew that I needed to find a way to make it work. So I downloaded all these YouTube videos from the playlist I was watching, and then I just watched them. I went through the entire IELTS training in the traffic to and from work. So what it's telling you is that if there's any time where you are sitting idle, or like you are in a setup that you don't really have control over, you should find a way to make that time productive, right? So when I was on my IELTS, there were other things I was doing. Maybe there'll be time where I'm there and I'm like looking through other professors' pages to figure out like which ones I'm gonna send a cold email to. So I found a way to make that my traffic time useful, and then I also make sure that my weekend was very useful. I knew that. Okay, so what's this telling you? This is telling you that if you need to figure out what your free times are and what time you can actually allocate to this based on your schedule realistically, you understand? So I also took advantage of my weekends. I made my weekends very useful. I knew that I was going to be in church on Sunday from, let's say, morning, let's say from 9 up to like 3 or something about that time. So I knew that once I woke up, I would on Sunday straight to my agenda for grad school, right? And that was really how I managed my time. So now that I've talked about time, I'm not going to make this video too long, so I'm going to talk about money in a different video. But the idea is that you need to be honest about like giving your current schedule. What is the time you can spend and on what? You understand? So definitely follow for more, and if you want to see more of these videos, make sure to follow my page. And if you like this video, go ahead and like it. And if you have friends that you know are low-key applying to grad school, go ahead and send this video to them. You know, one thing that you can do honestly every day is you feel like to have a global impact, you need this big crowd and this big audience. Not really, you know, anyone being resourceful, like sharing something you found useful, or because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So even sharing something you found resourceful to your friends is even an act of love that shows that, oh, you're actually thinking about them, or, you know, and also good for me. So go ahead and share that. Take care.